What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. Last night, the Milwaukee Bucks were eliminated. It was a pretty crazy ending to the game. The Bucks just completely folded, right? It wasn't good, wasn't pretty. Gary Trent Jr., you got the best and the worst of him last night. But overall, good game for him. And the rumors are running pretty rampant at this point for Giannis. I think we're all preparing for the worst at this point, that he could be moved if he's going to ask out. He didn't really want to comment on it last night, is what it is. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going through every single team in the NBA and figuring out which teams realistically can Giannis be traded to. That's the point of today's video. We're going to go through every single team, try to figure out which teams actually make like logical sense, using Fanspo to try to make it happen. But hey, before we go and do that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. Go show some love to my do they fit in the NBA series. Those videos always get demonetized almost instantly, so please go show them some love. I really like making them. They're a ton of fun, and so if you guys keep showing them love, then we'll keep pumping them out. And also, Ideal Offseason is back, the most popular series on the channel by far. It's a really unique series that only I think I'm really doing on YouTube, and it's a lot of fun, so go give those a watch as well. But anyway, let's figure out what can be done with Giannis. So obviously last night, it was tough. Giannis went out like a champ, man. He was giving it to him. He was doing all he possibly could, but ultimately there just was not enough talent on this Bucks roster to go and make that happen. And that's unfortunate. That's how it was. The Tyrese Halliburton thing happened with his dad, where he was kind of giving Giannis shit after the game. Giannis gave him the most intimidating, like, stare down ever. Dude just looked like directly down onto his, like, the top of his skull. It's just nuts. I don't know why you'd poke fun at Giannis for that, but you did. And here's my thing, right? Here's my thing for where we're at, because I think at this moment right now, this is going to tell us a lot about Giannis. This is either one moment where he's just going to say he's a Buck for life and he just wants to be a one-teamer for forever, or he's going to ask to be set free, and I don't think anyone in the world is going to blame him right now. He brought this organization a championship, and they are in a rough spot right now. They're in a really rough spot. If you're the Milwaukee Bucks, you sure don't want to. There are only so many people in the NBA that can win you a championship as a 1A option. You guys probably saw the video that was posted earlier today. I'm doing a second video today, so congratulations. But who can realistically win the NBA Finals? You should go watch that video. It is really interesting to watch. Like, there's just, like, a Giannis is somebody that your franchise might get every 30 years if you're lucky. And so you don't just want to get rid of a player like this if you don't have to. So all of this is dependent on if Giannis wants out, and this might be his best opportunity to ask to be let go, because I don't think anybody is going to be upset with him if that happens. But here's the tricky thing about doing a trade right now and making these trades realistic, right? Because, like, I could mock this out. I could put him on the Thunder or something, right? Like, we're all thinking, and maybe we can, in a way. Maybe we can, because they have a ton of assets. But Milwaukee doesn't exactly have a ton of assets going forward, right? And I think we're all kind of aware of this. So this is what Milwaukee's draft picks look like for the next couple years. No first-round pick this next year. And then 2026, the Pelicans have a swap rights with them. Then 2027, the Pelicans have a swap rights again. And in 2028, Portland can swap picks with them. Then they don't have anything in 2029. 2030, Portland has the rights to swap them again. So they don't control their own pick until 2031. That's unfortunate, right? That doesn't really allow you to tank very well, because everyone else controls your draft picks. So it's important to note that if there's a deal to be made, maybe New Orleans is one of them, maybe Portland is one of them, because at least we could get some of our own picks back, right? Or at least the ability to use our own picks. Portland isn't till later, so it's kind of hard to say, but if we trade Giannis somewhere, we could get some draft picks back, we could get some good young players. I don't think we're getting anybody franchise-altering, most likely. That's going to put us back into title contention in the next 9 to 10 years, it feels like, at a minimum, right? So you want to get draft picks so you can grow your own talent again like Giannis, but you're getting other people's draft picks, and wherever you send Giannis, they're going to be a good basketball team, so those picks aren't going to be worth very much. And that's the complicated thing about this, right? It's a tough one. It's very much a tough one. So we're just going to go down the list. We're going to figure out which teams can you realistically trade Giannis to, and kind of go from there, y'all. And it should be noted before we go anywhere with these trades. Realize what is happening in this trade, right? In this trade that, or whatever trades we're about to mock up, we are trading Giannis Antetokounmpo. You guys know who that is, right? He's a very good basketball player. I did the ideal offseason recently where we talked about like trading Kevin Durant and stuff, and I saw so many people being like, that's too much for Kevin Durant. I'm not giving up a first round pick and like Scottie Pippen Jr. or whatever. That lets me know right there, and I'm going to be very honest with you people now for a second on the internet, that lets me know you're a fucking moron. You're an idiot. I'm sorry, you got to go look in the mirror. You're a dum-dum. Like, that's Kevin Durant. Like, he's just that much better. You have to realize how much better these players are than the players that you're sending out and things. Teams will do whatever to get these guys. The amount of money and revenue they're going to bring and just how much better they are than all the other NBA players is insane. Now, Giannis, even way more valuable than Kevin Durant, right? But it's also important to realize that the way that the NBA trade rules are set up, it's pretty hard to make these deals nowadays feel fair. It feels like if you're trading a star player, like you're always losing if you're trading a star player, right? Like that's just understood. If we're trading Giannis, we're losing the trade. That's just how it is. It's because we're waving a white flag and admitting defeat. It's like, what was it, Black Wednesday in Europe when like the economy crashed or whatever, or when they renounced the euro or it was the pound. That's what they did or whatever. That's basically what it is. So that's important to understand, but because of how the rules are set up, it's going to be even harder to get back anything of fair value. But now that we've added some context behind things and we've established what a dum-dum looks like, I always think that that's important to do on this channel. You guys are all my dum-dums. I hope you realize that. You might be a dum-dum, but you're my dum-dum. Sometimes I'm a dum-dum. But let's do it. We're going to go one by one, figure out where we can send people. Cleveland Cavaliers, would they like to have Giannis? Sure. I'm sure they would. Do the Bucks want to move him there? Hard to say. I'll be very curious, like, because like Giannis is going to have a lot of sway in this, right? Like he's going to want to go somewhere good. Is there any way that something like this happens, right? Is there any sort of way that you move Giannis to a Cleveland? I can't imagine the Bucks wanting to do that. I feel like that's one where they would put their foot down and be like, we can't have you that close to us. We can't be playing against you 4 times a year and then running into you in the playoffs if we should ever be so lucky to get there again right after moving Giannis. But like, is there a world where you could package like a Mobley or something like that, and that's where Cavs fans go, I'm not giving up. You're gonna give up Evan Mobley for Giannis. Shut up. If that option was there, you would do it, and it's only emotion that's stopping you from doing it. But I think the Bucks would put their foot down on that one and probably not let that happen. The Celtics. Probably not. Probably not. That seems like a very hard one to execute merely from a financial standpoint, if nothing else. Yeah, there's no way. No, because the Bucks can't gain, or the Celtics can't gain any more money on their payroll because they're a second apron team, and you can't package 2 players together to equal 1 in this, so there's no way that there's no way that he goes to the Celtics. I can't imagine that. The Knicks. Ooh. Yeah, there's a way you could make this happen. There is certainly a way you could get this boy to the Knicks. So let's figure this one out. You've got Mikal Bridges, you got OG Anunoby, 2 good players that would become a little bit redundant if you had a Giannis, right? OG Anunoby's got more time on his contract, a little bit younger. Mikal Bridges, somebody's already kind of tried to build around him before. Maybe you'd want to have an OG instead. Maybe it's a Cat trade. Would you really want to get Cat at this point? What's the point of having Cat if you've got nothing else on your team, right? Because you'd also want draft picks, and I don't know if getting Knicks picks is exactly how you want to go about this. And there's going to be times where we have to drop some 3-teamers as well, but let's just think about this for a second, because like you could just do like a Giannis Towns swap. Like it is that simple. You could just do something like that, right? Cat's been awesome for the Knicks. Okay, there is a bit too much money coming in that because they're an apron team, so we'd have to adjust this just a little bit. Guess what you get? Who else do you get? You want Tyler Smith? I know, I like Tyler Smith too, but you get Tyler Smith in this? Failed. It's because they're taking in more money. I'm an idiot in this one. So yeah, you take out Tyler Smith. You guys can have Tyler Kolek. There you go. You get a fun young player to develop or something like that, right? Like, this doesn't move the needle. You could throw draft picks on top of it, right? You could try to do something like that where it's like, okay, you have this top 10 protected Washington pick. That's not going to be anything. This Knicks pick isn't going to be anything interesting. And after that, it's pretty hard to figure out what you're doing. So the other option would be reroute Towns somewhere else where you could get a bunch of draft picks for him. And like, who could that even potentially be? Like, who would want Karl Anthony Towns now becomes the question. Is it like a Detroit? It's not like they have an ample amount of picks that are even going to be good. Like Orlando, that could be interesting. Orlando might be a team for Giannis as well, as crazy as that might sound right away. But like, if we did something like this, just hold up with me for a second. Would the Magic rather have just hold up with me for a second, right? What if we moved Jalen Suggs over to the Bucks? We move Big Cat over to the Magic here. What is this looking like right now? It's failed. We need to cut a little bit more money from things. We don't necessarily... Tyler Kolek still needs to go somewhere else. If we cut some more money like a KCP or something like that, we send him over to the Bucks. The Bucks take on the money because they don't care. They're irrelevant at this point anyway, right? They take on KCP, and then they just get a metric like fuck ton of picks. Is that just what has to happen here? Like, you get the 2025 Magic first round pick at a minimum, send that over to the Bucks, right? I feel like maybe like a 2027 first round pick or something. Sure, you guys got Giannis for Cat, so Cat's really good, but you have to give up your first round pick next year, which can you even do? No, you really can't, because your 2027 pick is missing. So like, I don't know, this doesn't seem like one that can logistically work very easily without finding a way to bring in a team that's going to just give up a metric ton of picks. So I don't know, but we're going to come back to this Magic thing because that one's interesting to me. So let's move on to the Pacers. How ironic, right? I can't imagine this happens. I can't imagine Giannis even wants to play with Tyrese Halliburton at this point. So I'm going to say that that's probably an unrealistic thing. I'm not really seeing that one happen. The Pistons, our young Pistons, again, trading within conference. Wow, so many people from this this conference. The Cavs, Pacers, Bucks, and Pistons. It's funny. What's the one team missing from the from the division? Oh, it's my Chicago Bulls. It's the worst. It's the worst. Could you do something like this? Well, you could. We could pair Cade Cunningham with him, and the Pistons could, in theory, give up some good young players in this move, which is something that the, like, good young players, maybe relative interesting young players, right, in a move like this. So let's mess around with this for a second. So we send Giannis over to the Pistons, right? Tobias Harris, he's the first thing that's gone in this, right? Because got to send over some money, right? Got to send over some money. We give him Jaden Ivey. Position, like, showed he's got a little something to his game, right? But positionally, maybe not as needed. So we send Jaden Ivey over. Who else do we have to give up here? Probably at least Ron Holland, right? He's a recent first-round pick with some potential. Pistons fans, do not get salty with me if I try to trade Ron Holland for Giannis. You are a moron if you wouldn't do that. Just a moron. You're gonna be like, EBC, he's 19 years old, though. Giannis is 30. Just... I'm not going to explain to you why that's stupid. I'm not going to. How does this work money-wise? Does this work? That works. Okay, so you get Giannis for Jaden Ivey and Ron Holland. Basically, Tobias Harris is there for filler. Do we throw something else at them, too? They want Marcus Sasser or something. You could probably say you can have, like, a Marcus Sasser as well because he's, like, again, an interesting young player. There you go. So you get all those guys, and you get some picks as well because you're getting Giannis Antetokounmpo to play with Cade. You still have Asar Thompson on the team. You still have Duran. You've got a really interesting group of players, right? Pistons don't have their own pick this year, so this would have to happen, like, after the draft, but you give up your 2026 pick, which isn't even going to be all that good, right? And then after that, I guess you got to give up your 28 or something as well, and then potentially even another potentially even another. You give up like your 2030 or something like that. This is Giannis we're talking about. Like, you might still have 5 or 6 years of dominance out of Giannis. So you do a trade like this potentially. Maybe there's swaps instead or something, but this I could potentially see it. Again, kind of the same logic of like, do you really want to move Giannis to a team that's within your own division even? Like, maybe not, but this might be one of your better bets at getting like some quality young players back as well. So I don't know, something to consider with that one. So maybe the Pistons. Maybe the Pistons. Next, Orlando Magic. Okay, cool. This one intrigues me. This one really intrigues me. I feel like you could make something happen with this. You've got this really promising young core of Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Admittedly, they are very, very hard to pair together because neither of them can shoot. And I don't want to hear the thing about, oh, EVC, Paulo had a nice shooting streak here. He's not historically a good shooter. If you look at the numbers, he's not. So I'm not calling him a shooter until he becomes a shooter. You give up Franz for Giannis in this one. And I know, Magic fans, relax. You're getting Giannis back. I know. I love Franz too, and I'm down to see this young core develop. I'm not saying this is the most likely of outcomes, but you could do something like this, and this trade doesn't work. So we're gonna need to move more money in this, and what I think would need to happen is we would need someone else to take on like a KCP or something. So can we bring in like the Nets and do something like this? So he goes there. Who else gets moved in this? I don't even know, because you guys don't have anybody of like substance. So no, I can't use the Nets for this. Who's got people with salary that they just don't want on this team? Like, could we use the Wizards somehow? KCP goes back to the Wizards, and Chris Middleton, we take him back. Could we do something like that? That'd be diabolical to just be like, oh, sorry, we sent you there for a little bit, my boy. Very, very sorry. You don't necessarily need Marcus Smart on the team. I'm sure they like having the veteran presence, and the Wizards start to play a little bit better at the end of the year, but also other teams aren't trying quite as much. So let me just mock this out quick. Does this work? So something like this works. Franz Wagner might be one of the better players that you could get for Giannis in something like this. And now what would the picks look like, right? If you're the Magic, you got to give up some picks in this. The Wizards, what did the Wizards get out of this? They just pay more money, so they need to be supplemented a little bit as well. Not anything crazy. I think maybe just like a second round pick, or you could even do cash considerations or something. No, because he's got another year on his contract too, so you got to give him like a second or something. So guess what? You get the Magic don't need this many draft picks anyway, because most of their roster is solidified at this point anyway. So guess what? You get to have, how many picks do you guys have this year? You've got one 2025 second. It's a Phoenix one. So guess what? You get another second round pick this year. There you go, for spending a little bit more money. At the very least, you're giving up probably this first round pick here. Send that one over to the Bucks, because that one's the better one of the two. And then you have your 2026 swap rights, so you probably trade like your 2027 one as well. And I know you're trading Franz Wagner. Giannis is infinitely better than Franz. If like, we're not projecting that Franz is going to become Giannis, right? So Franz is good. Franz is very good, but he's nowhere close to Giannis. He just isn't. So let's talk about the practicality of this, though. Like, this maybe is a framework that could make a little bit of sense. Again, I think it's going to be really complicated to draw up a trade like this, but now the Magic have Paolo and Giannis. It's a lot of the same problems that you had before. You still need shooting, right? You need like a better center that can space the floor a little bit. Wendell Carter had a nice series against the Celtics, but like, he's got to be able to shoot like he somewhat could in the past. Like Mo Wagner is like is debatably the best shooter on this team right now, and that's not good, right? That's not good. So something has to happen. Would you take Giannis in this? Potentially. Could you also just say, look, we've got other things we have to figure out anyway, and this isn't going to solve enough of our problems, so maybe not, but just mocking some things out, trying to figure out what could make a little bit of sense. The Hawks. Could you do something like this with like a Jalen Johnson, younger player? He's been hurt a couple times. It's hard to say, right? It's hard to say, like, because here's the thing. if this were to be a thing, so Giannis going over there, right? You probably got to give up Jalen Johnson and probably Risa Shea, right? Probably. And I know your number one overall pick, not quite the number one overall pick of normal quality, but a nice player. Something like this, that's a framework that works, right? And maybe you're happy enough with that. You get a former number one overall pick, you get Jalen Johnson, pretty good player. Cool, I guess. Cool. Do you want to supplement this any other way? I don't necessarily think in terms of players, probably, but the problem is the Hawks don't have a ton of other picks. They've got some of the swap rights that we're a part of, but they're on the lower end of it, so it doesn't actually benefit us at all. And they just don't have a lot of draft capital. But we are giving up Reese Shea, we're giving up Jalen Johnson, so maybe we say like 2 first-round picks as well. So guess what? You get this 2025 first-round pick right here via the Lakers, maybe, because why not? You at least get like a pick this year. Or would you rather have like this Kings pick? It's protected 1 through 12. No, that's probably not going to be anything all that valuable. So I guess you send them over like the Lakers pick, and then you just don't really have anything valuable for a while still. And that's the unfortunate part. So you're giving up like a 2030 pick and stuff. It's not that great. You get some solid basketball players, but you're losing Giannis. That sucks. That really sucks. All right, let's move on to my Chicago Bulls. What could you possibly want from this team? No, that's not happening. Giannis isn't going to want to go to a not very good team, most likely anyway. Or at least they got to be like somewhat close. The Miami Heat, always an option, right? Always an option. So how could we make this happen? This is going to have to be a 3-teamer just because the money that you have to send out from Miami is not going to be great money. Like Andrew Wiggins, Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson, like Wiggins and Robinson are solid players. Rozier obviously had a really, really rough season. That's just like nothing really of player value, and the Heat have like no draft picks. So what you would have to do is you'd have to bring in a third team. Let's just hypothetically, right? Like let's say it's the Hornets. You would have to give them enough talent in a move where Giannis is moving to the Heat, right? So you're taking on other not as great contracts, and you're going to have to supplement them with draft value and or young players. And so that seems too logistically complicated to actually make it happen. And what's the point of trading like a Bam or a Hero, right? I don't know, like, do you even want like a Tyler Hero to be your guy? I don't know. I think the Heat one is too hard because they're lacking in assets too much. So I think that one's going to be too difficult to pull off. Toronto, Giannis just feels like he could be a Toronto Raptor, doesn't he? And they've got some players that they could move. They've certainly got some players they could move. So let's just mess around with this for a little bit. Brandon Ingram's been here for all of like 18 days, and you send him over here, throw in an RJ Barrett as well, because why not? Maybe Jacoby Walter, your most recent first round pick. How does that work? That's a successful move. You get a pretty good amount of talent right away, and you get a young guy who didn't have a great season, but, it looks like maybe he could be an okay defender at some point. Offensively, it was pretty rough this season. Really, defensively, it was kind of rough as well. But Raptors fans really think Jacoby Walter had a great defensive season because they watched, 8 possessions of him really having high energy on defense, and that's great, and I'm glad he made some steals. There's nothing analytically that says he was a good defender, and watching the game, he was pretty rough this year, but he's a rookie. Calm down. You can calm down before you get in the comments, right? He's a rookie, so it's okay for people to be critical of your players. So you could do something like this, be kind of cool. That's the framework of players. This at least makes you somewhat competitive, having some players like this on your team. This Raptors pick is going to be a lottery pick, so that instantly adds a ton of value because this is a loaded draft class, depending on where that pick falls. And then maybe you probably only have to give up one more pick after that because you're giving up some pretty good talent right here. So let's just say you get a 2028 first round pick as well. This might be the best one drawn up so far, honestly, just because the Raptors have this pick that's so good already. So maybe this is a move. Maybe it is again. Do you want to keep him in the East? Hard to say, but then you have a team of Manuel quickly. You have Scotty Barnes with Giannis, which is kind of a redundancy as well. Like, this isn't a well-designed team for Giannis, but they haven't been planning for a Giannis. And you would think he'd probably want to play with some other, like, star-studded players to try to compete right away. So this might be the best return for Milwaukee, but I'm not sure Giannis necessarily wants to go about doing that. So we're gonna scrap that one. The Brooklyn Nets, I mean, sure, they probably have the assets to get it done, but should the Nets do that? Probably not. They've rushed rebuilds how many times now, and it bites them in the butt every single time. And really, they don't have a ton of assets in terms of players, so I don't think the Nets is happening. I'm not sure Giannis wants to go there anyway. Philly. I don't think you're convincing him to play with Joel Embiid at this point. I think that's too risky. The Hornets, probably just too messy of a franchise at this point. You can't do it. Same thing for the Wizards. Sorry, Wizards fans, not happening. Not happening. Let's move on to the West, and let's go from the bottom up, because I think that's going to make more sense. Can you do the Jazz? Sure, you could. I don't think there's a point in him going there. There's no supporting crew around there. The Pelicans. This is the interesting one, right? So you could send him there. We can get some of our picks back, right? So let's mock this out. You're sending Giannis over there, and you're taking the risk of like a Zion Williamson, right? That's kind of what you're trying to do. Because this is probably the best talent that you could possibly get back for him that would be potentially available. We all understand the injuries and risks, but when Zion Williamson plays, he's a top 10 player in the NBA, right? So one of the closest things you can get to a Giannis. What else has to be sent out? You can have CJ McCollum too, just because we don't need him at this point. Does this trade work logistically? No. They would need to cut another $2 million just. So guess what? AJ Green, the floor spacer supreme, Derry Bird. You can go over to the Pelicans as well, and that works. Cool. And then what do we want back for this? We're taking back Zion, right? Good ass basketball player, locked up for a while. Injury prone, really like snow bunnies. So some things we got to take into account. They're going to have a really good draft pick this year. Do you give this one up? I don't know. You just gave up Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson is really, really good, but you're getting Giannis. I think what you're more so interested in, more so than anything else, is you just want your stuff back. So we get this back, we get this back. We're not actually like gaining a tangible asset as much as we're gaining our own independence back, if you would. So if Zion doesn't work out and he's just out the whole year, at least we've got our own stuff going forward, right? Outside of that one Portland swap as well, which if this were to happen, right, you might as well just go all in and we say, let's get Portland involved in this because we want their shit back as well. So how much would we have to get back in this? Where are these picks? We've got this 2028 one right here and a 2030 one. So what would we be giving Portland in this to where we could get two of those swaps back? That would be interesting. We could save them from their own Jeremy Grant situation. We could. They don't need Jeremy Grant. Like, they probably would prefer not to have him at this point. So, how could we do this? So if we take on Jeremy Grant, nobody's going to want to touch Kyle Kuzma after this last playoff performance. Could you send Damian Lillard back there? No, that's not enough because you're going to take back more money. It's less years. You get your boy Dame back. I'm not sure we're going to be able to actually do that. Is there somebody that we could give them from New Orleans to warrant them giving us those picks back, and we could give New Orleans something else? What could it be? Like, Jordan Hawkins would probably be an interesting player because he doesn't need the basketball at all. You send him to like the Trailblazers, that could be a potential fit, right? Could the Bucks eat the Jeremy Grant contract though at this point? No, it doesn't look like it. Like, you'd have to cut too much money. Yeah, you'd need to cut way too much money. So that's not doable at all. What else could we do? What else could we give them? They don't need an Yves Missy at all. You're not giving up a Trey Murphy, Herb Jones. DeJounte's there. You have to hope that he gets healthy. By the way, Giannis playing with Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, cool. There's an Yves Missy here, cool. not a second star on this team, so maybe I'm just overcooking this at this point and saying that Giannis just might not want to go there anyway. So I don't know, but you could maybe figure out some framework here, but this wouldn't be a bad return for Milwaukee in the grand scheme of things. Again, you're losing Giannis. It's going to suck. The Spurs, God help us all to have Giannis and Wemby on the same team. We have to figure out if this can be accomplished, though. We have to. So you move him over. Devin Vassell goes over. Interesting young player, right? It doesn't matter. You're losing Giannis. It's going to suck. You send over Sohan as well. You send over Keldon Johnson. Do you have to send over Stephon Castle in this? Like, in all honesty, you might. You very much might have to. But no, you got quite a few picks on your hands too. So you send over Keldon. That should work financially. It does. You get some young players back. Cool. None of them particularly all that fascinating, but is what it is. You send over, what, both of your first round picks to the Bucks this year? Probably. Your 2026 pick situation, you can swap with Atlanta. That could be valuable, is taking on some of those Atlanta swaps. Give me this 2027 Atlanta pick because I don't know how good they're going to be. So what, 3 first-round picks and Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson? You might be able to do that. That would be scary. That'd be real scary. So that's an interesting one. Okay, we see you, Spurs. Portland, we talked about this one a little bit. And again, there's a realm for this one, right? Trailblazers up-and-coming team. Quite a few role players on the team. Could really use some shooting, and this isn't going to help you much either, but you could do something like this where you say, okay, we're getting rid of Jeremy Grant, we're taking the money on from you, give us our shit back, but these are so far in the future, this isn't nearly as important as some of the other ones, so we get at least those back. Man, what else? 2027, you don't have your 2028 pick, it looks like, so no, there's not enough here to make that happen in terms of like draft capital for also taking on like a Jeremy Grant contract. So nope, I don't see it. I don't think Giannis would want to go there anyway. Phoenix. Kevin Durant's not signing up for that. I don't think you're moving Bradley Beal over to Milwaukee. You're not convincing him to do that. So, nope. Sorry, Suns fans. You don't get out of it that easy. Oh, I didn't even think about the Mavericks. Oh, Nico. How would you possibly pull this off? Because that would be hilarious if after all of this you ended up with Giannis. You had one of the few players that could maybe win a team a championship, and you just dumped him for nothing. Not nothing. Anthony Davis is good, but... and then you somehow ended up with Giannis at the end of it. What a plot twist to all of that. How could you make this happen? How could you do it? This is, again, one of those things where you're not going to get a player back that you really want, so the draft picks need to be, like, good enough in this situation, and they don't have that at their disposal. So then the problem becomes, again, you have to bring in like a Charlotte Hornets or like a Wizards who's willing to give up their draft picks for something else in here, and I don't know what that would be. So is it more of like a middle tier team though? Is that what we're missing? What team would be willing to give up interesting young players and draft picks to get something else from the Mavericks right now, right? Who would that be? Could it be the Pistons? I don't think so. Would it be the Magic? Potentially. Like, let's talk about this one for a second. So what if, right? Let's have a moment. What young players would you really want from this? You're not just trading Suggs, though, for, like, supplementary players is the thing. No, I don't think that's happening. Is it any of these teams here? Do you get the Kings involved somehow? Can you do something like this? I don't think so. I think the Kings can get involved by themselves, but not necessarily with Dallas. So let's just scrap Dallas. I don't think that one's going to work itself out. But let's try the Kings. Giannis and Sabonis with Zach LaVine. Interesting team. You're trading him to the West. Let's figure out how this works, right? So you send him over there. DeMar DeRozan goes back to the Bucks. You sell some tickets. You got a bucket getter for a year, right? I'm trying to convince myself of this. Keegan Murray goes over there at a minimum. You send Devin Carter over there again, like at a minimum. Man, That's not a great trade back, is it? No, and it's not even close. So no, I don't see this one taking place. Like, you could throw more things at it, but no. It's hard to trade star players nowadays, man. It really is. The Grizzlies, they could use a wing. They very much could use a wing. We could make something like this happen for Memphis. Send him over there. You've got your new guy here. Desmond Bane, he's the minimum that goes back, right? Brandon Clark, financial reasons, he goes back. You probably give him Zach Edey, right, as your most recent, like, first-round pick. Probably a G.G. Jackson as well. Something like that. I know, Grizzlies fans, it's a lot of players. You're getting Giannis to play next to Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ja Morant. Would be insane. And that works. Something like that works. So the Bucks get back good player in Desmond Bane, not nearly as good as Giannis. Brandon Clark, salary. Zach Edey, young player. See what you can do with him. G.G. Jackson, young player with potential. Cool. You got some of that stuff back. Picks. What are you giving up for picks, right? That's the complicated thing. So 2026, there's a bunch of swap rights here. Where do the Grizzlies kind of fall into all this? Memphis then has the rights to swap its 2026 first-round pick for the least less favorable of the Phoenix, the Washington pick, if conveyable. It's too much. So probably a 2027 pick then, and then like a 2029 pick, maybe this 2030, because you're giving up quite a few young players in this one, and like a Desmond Bane. So I don't know. It's Giannis though, right? Like, it's Giannis. So you do something like this, and Grizzlies fans go, if you see, you're giving up so many players. It's Giannis, and you look at how many players you still have. You still have lots of good players. You still have Vince. You still have Scottie. You still have Jalen Wells. Oh, they might ask for Jalen Wells instead of G.G. Jackson in this, but you know, you interchange them. It's not a big deal. But I think G.G. Jackson has a much higher ceiling, so I threw him in there. But this is an interesting one. I would love to see this happen. I would love to see that happen. I feel like that could be very much a missing piece for this team. You would have 3 just stud players on your team. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. All right, let's move on. We still have more to do. The Warriors. Oh, how could you possibly do this? Because that would be so cool. Giannis and Jimmy Butler on the same team. Like I'm not even going to talk about Curry for a second, but just the dogs that are Jimmy Butler and Giannis. Throw Draymond in there again. Oh my lord. Giannis being a lob threat for Curry, because Giannis does not want to have the ball if he doesn't have to in the game, right? That's kind of the whole thing. So no, there's no way this can happen. There's no way financially you can make this happen. You already have 2 $50 million dudes on the team. There's no way, right? There's no way. You'd have to like trade Draymond with it, which like they probably do. They'd probably do, but even then you're just not getting anything else all that interesting. You do a sign and trade with Kuminga, basically, is what you would have to do as well. I just don't think Kuminga and like a Moses Moody or something like that, and I don't know, you're not getting that much, and they don't have picks, so I don't personally see it, but maybe a 3-teamer. The Wolves. Ooh. How could we do this? How could we do this? They love Jaden McDaniels. They really do, but I don't know. Let's take a look. So you do like a Jaden or something, right? You give up Rob Dillingham, recent young player. You give up Terrence Shannon. I know it hurts. It'll be okay. You'll survive. There's no way this works financially. I just want to see how much. You need to cut $20 million still. Oh boy. Shit. You'd probably love to get rid of Rudy. You probably would. I don't know if Milwaukee goes for something like this, man. Like, you do something like that. So Rudy would be on the move. They'd get Jaden, Rob Dillingham, Terrence Shannon Jr. So they get a couple young guys. Ugh. It's not that great. What are you giving up for picks then? You've got this Detroit pick this year that's not all that great, but you can have it. There you go. You can have it. It's all yours. And then they don't really have any tradable picks for a while, so I don't see it. Minnesota. It's going to be hard to make a trade like this work, y'all. I'm telling you. The Clippers. I don't think they're getting back, because no, they don't have young players or picks, so that's not happening. Denver. This would be This would be something. Jokic and Giannis together on one team. That'd be cool. I would like that. I would like that very much. Okay, so Giannis over there. How can we possibly make this work? There's so much money between these guys. Michael Porter Jr. has to move at a minimum, right? Not exactly the player you want to get back in a trade like this. Not because Michael Porter's not good at basketball, but more so just because he's neither really a young player with high potential at this point. He's just a good NBA player that's in his prime. But you're not going to get any draft picks from us. And so the problem again becomes we're in this situation of we need picks and young players thrown into this move somehow, but where are we going to get them, right? Because then they have to be getting something else from us to warrant giving that up, and that's where it becomes complicated. So I don't know. I don't think that that's going to happen realistically. The Lakers, we can't let this happen. We can't let this happen, can we? Can we? So what would this be? It can't. No, there's no way, right? No, Giannis over there. Let me just see how far off we are. So you got to trade Rui as well. Let's throw Vando in there as well. So again, you're not getting any picks or young players or anything, and then we're still off by like how much money, right? We're still off by like $10 million. So nope, that one's not happening. Not to the Lakers. The Rockets. Interesting. This team needs a 1A. It needs a 1A, and they've got some young players to give up on. So this one can work. Jalen Green, you're out of here. You're happy, or we're happy that you're out of there. Jabari Smith, you're gone, boy. You gone. Reed Shepherd, you gone, boy. So there, you got some young guys in this. Cam Whitmore, you gone, boy. There you go. So already gave up these young bucks over here to go become young bucks. There you go. You can do that. And now let's throw in the picks, because yes, it's not enough. You're gonna have to give up some picks, because they're gonna be like, yeah, we get Jalen Green, but he's Jalen Green, and then the Bucks go, yes, he's, or excuse me, the Rockets go, yes, we know he's Jalen Green. We know. We're sorry. You have to take him on. So, okay. What are we giving up then? We've got this 2025 Phoenix pick. Ooh, via Phoenix to Brooklyn via Houston swap. Oh yeah, that one's not that. Maybe not the greatest. We want this 2027 Phoenix one because they might not be very good at that point. And Dallas and or Phoenix swap rights. Houston will receive the two most favorable of its 2029 first. Yeah, give me that one as well. Gimme. And so this looks like a trade that could work. That's not a bad one. I could see something like this happen. And then what's left? Giannis is still on a team with no shooting. Like, how is there so many teams with no shooting right now? Fred is still on the team. Team option. Not sure he gets picked up at this point, but he's playing with Şengün. Very good. Dylan Brooks is still on the team. Cool. Amen Thompson's still on the team. Tari Eason's still on the team. And the Bucks got Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, young guys, see what we can do with him. Reed Shepherd, he was a third overall pick last year, right? That's what they're saying. Hey, he's the third overall pick. And they're like, it's Reed Shepherd. And Cam Whitmore, who's extremely talented, but maybe a bit of a dum-dum. So you get that. You get some picks that could be pretty good. I like that one. That one could work. And then the Thunder. We can't keep letting them get away with this. Oh, but they could make it work. They could totally make it work. Oh, and that'd be so scary. That'd be so scary. Okay. Just let me go through my thought process for a second. So, Giannis would go over to the Thunder. Yes, you're not trading Shea. You're not trading Chet, I don't think. Are you trading Jalen Williams in this one? Just... You might have to in this deal, right? I'm not saying that you necessarily should even. Giannis is way better than Jalen Williams, but Jalen Williams is a very good young player, right? A very good young player. Let me just mock it out. You send the torture chamber out. You don't need a torture chamber when you got a Greek freak. You're sending out Jang because Jang is the ultimate guy you throw into 2K because he's going to have like a 2-star value because he's 21, and you're going to throw him in there, and that trade still doesn't work. You still need to cut $23 million. Oh boy, so you're gonna have to throw in like a Hartenstein or something into this, aren't you? Oh boy, okay, so you can throw Hartenstein into it. Do you have to include Dort then at this point? Failed. You'd still need to cut 1.6 million. Okay, well guess what? You get Dylan Jones. He was a first round pick. Yay, there you go. You got Dylan Jones. So just because we're saying it, I don't actually even think the Thunder should necessarily do this. I think that you could have they're already at the top of the league with Shea and Jalen, so I'm not saying you should do this. Well, we're just exploring in this video of things you could do. You could move Jalen Williams in this with Hartenstein and Ousmane Dieng, Dylan Jones. Go get Giannis. I don't even think you necessarily have to put picks into this. Not very many, at least. Maybe like one, but even still, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm going for that one. Okay, so that's all the teams. What are the teams that we settled on that we think could make some sense? Maybe Detroit, right? Maybe Detroit could be kind of interesting. What were the other ones? We didn't really like the Heat. We said the Raptors is like kind of interesting, but maybe not as much for Giannis. So only like maybe one Eastern Conference team. The Rockets looked like it could make some sense. Memphis looked like it could make some sense. Sacramento was pretty tough. We said the Spurs potentially, the Pelicans potentially. So those are kind of the teams that we're looking at right now. Pelicans, Spurs, Memphis, Houston, and Detroit. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I don't know, like, you could always throw a OKC into it. You really could, just because they have so many assets. I don't know if that makes sense for them to do, though. So, hey, leave me your trade ideas down below. I'm curious to see them. I'm giving you guys an extra video today because I think it's topical and hopefully it gets some views. But as always, I appreciate you guys. Let's move on to the comment of the video. Alrighty, y'all. Comment of the video is coming from the Noah Asenge, or Asenge. Does he fit in the NBA? Again, go give those videos a watch. They get demonetized instantly, even though I'm protected under fair use, but YouTube sides with big business, so you know I've got to fight them every single time. And go watch Ideal Offseason. It's the best series on the channel, in my opinion. It's back. It's a lot of fun. There's going to be a Bucks Ideal Offseason coming soon-ish. I don't know when I'm going to record it and put it out, but you'll get it sometime next week. So just be on the lookout for that, and we'll figure out what to actually do with Giannis in this group. But anyway, the comment of the video comes from the Final Take 3902 when talking about Noah Asenge. He said, "Bro's hands look like Stanley Hudson dribbling in the Office basketball episode." I gotta show y'all this. All right, I'm putting it on mute, but here you go. Give the ball to Stanley. Let him go to work. Let him go to work. Oh, I love Stanley so much. I love Stanley so much. Let me see it one more time. They're like, this Noah Asenge right here. Oh, that was an elite one. This was a really good one, the Final Take. Thank you very much for this. But hey, as always, leave me a comment. As you see, I respond to every single one. I've got 5 to go respond to right up there right now. Go join the Discord if you haven't. Link is always in the video description. It's where you can get access to the Ideal Offseason spreadsheet, and we're talking hoops on there all the time. During the playoffs, that chat is blowing up. It's a ton of fun, so go hop on there. And yeah, appreciate you guys as always. And here, have your second video of the day. Thanks so much. Bye.